Today's story is about a simple but powerful question. What happens when your job and your faith collide? In the early 1960s, a woman named Adele Sherbert worked at a textile mill in South Carolina. She was a devoted member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and her religion required her to observe the Sabbath on Saturdays. That meant she could not work on that day. At first, this wasn't a problem. Her employer allowed her to take Saturdays off. But over time, the company changed its policies and began requiring employees to work on Saturdays as part of their schedule. Sherbert faced a difficult choice. She could either follow her employer's new rule and work on Saturdays, or she could stay true to her religious beliefs. She chose her faith. Because of that decision, she was fired. After losing her job, Sherbert applied for unemployment benefits. She believed that since she had been willing to work, just not on Saturdays for religious reasons, she should still qualify. But the state denied her claim. Their reasoning was simple. They said she had refused suitable work, and under the law, that meant she was not eligible for benefits. Sherbert disagreed. She argued that the state was effectively punishing her for practicing her religion. Welcome to Once Upon a Case, because the law isn't just for lawyers, it's for everyone. The case made it to the Supreme Court as Sherbert versus Verner. The court had to decide whether the government could deny benefits to someone simply because they followed their religious beliefs. In the end, the Supreme Court sided with Sherbert. The justices explained that forcing someone to choose between their job and their religion places a heavy burden on their freedom of religion. And unless the government has a very strong reason, it cannot impose that kind of pressure. The court ruled that denying her unemployment benefits violated the Constitution. This case became important because it established a key principle. If the government interferes with someone's religious practice, it must show a compelling reason and use the least restrictive means possible. In other words, the government cannot make it unnecessarily hard for someone to live according to their faith. Sherbert didn't just win her case, she helped shape how courts protect religious freedom in the United States. And that's the story of Sherbert versus Verner. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, follow along for more. See you on the next one.